This conference will now be recorded.
So for today's session, we'll talk about the installing the Gatling over the IDE, maybe the IntelliJ or Eclipse. So let us talk about the prerequisites. Yeah, so my screen visible.
Yes.
Okay, so integrating IDE with Gatling, we have some prerequisites so that you can execute your scripts, you can record and you can run through the IDE instead of standalone. First, Java should be installed and path needs to be set. That is Java home. Second, we need Maven to be installed because we'll be doing it for we have to create the form .xml for our project. That's why we need Maven as a build tool so that it can build our projects. So Maven should be installed. Now, uh, from where you can install the Maven, I'll show you. So if you go to there, you will get the different 3.8.5 is good. You can download it. I'm mentioning it over so that I can give it to you later. Once Maven path is set to the environment variables, you have to check if Maven is already installed. For that, you can go to CMD and you can do mvn-v basically to check the version, and it states that your Maven path is correct and Maven is all set to be used. Now, once Maven and Java installed, Gatling, you can install Gatling high charts. Open source any latest version. Now we have to create our project. So to create the Gatling projects through Maven, you have to use the following commands. This is the command. Okay, once these steps are done, you'll be able to open the project something like this. Okay, so I'll be doing these steps again if you're not able to do by tomorrow. Okay, I have a sample script. Let us talk about Gatling prerequisite. You can always refer to the Gatling tutorial available to understand how the Gatling works in the real environment. So let us talk about the different attributes that we have. Okay, so in the modular scripting, what will be the structure of my script? Let us talk about the structure of the script. Whenever we are doing the scripting, we'll have three different files: actions, scenarios, or simulations. So basically, actions will contain the request details, its method, and its parameters. Scenario will have the loop or repeat, then it will have the pacing, the think time. Basically, it will state in which way the request will be, request or action. We can say it action will be executed. Also in actions in the request will do correlation, and if any custom coding is required for saving a file or any file operations will be done here. Also the checkpoint, error validation. Now when we talk about the simulations, simulation will have different parameters for user load, ramp up, or test load pattern. Okay, uh, any questions till now? Yeah, so anybody has any questions regarding what we have discussed on the structure of the scripting we'll be following for Gatling in ID? Okay, to move ahead, I'll show you how action looks like. So this is one of the action file we have. We'll start writing in scratch, going in the another sessions, but today what we will do, we'll just look over that like how actions script structure looks like. Okay, so here are the mandatory imports. This is the package name, my package name, where the script resides, and these are the mandatory package I have copied that is required for the Gatling. So for aux actions, what will the structure of actions basically. So we will have one object should be the file name. Then we will define the headers. So val stands for the variable here. So val is for declaring the variable in Gatling, basically in Scala. Variable in Scala. So here, what we did, just like we do hash map in Java, we assigned one variable with the names header underscore 0, which will have the map value of its the header variable name and its value. You can see except text HTML application JSON, except language enus, that all headers we are defining irrespective of its variable name and its value. Okay. Now, once variables are declared at the top, we'll have one constructor that is def, and it will have the function name what we are declaring over there. Then we have the chain builder. We are creating a chain builder. What is a chain builder? So chain builder is used to construct the request asynchronously in async manner, so that if we put request one after another, it will get executed. Not if will not do the chain builder, then what will happen, this request will execute and the another will left out. So how to implement the chain builder? Implementing of the chain builder, we use the dot, which notifies that it's another request with the after that. So how do we write the what does this request mean? Okay, so group name is place order group. So group name is basically the transaction group name where my transaction resides. So once you execute the test and report will be created, it will give you the transaction group name. And here we have something dot exec execute, basically it's a Scala function in the Gatling. So this is your transaction name, basically the request name. Now I am writing one transaction over here. I'll show you how we write. So since it's ID, it will give you the suggestions. So exec is the functions. Okay, it will ask for which type of request you have. We have HTTP, right? Now I have to give here my request name. Let us suppose I have given the request name is training request demo underscore one. So this will be my request name. Now here I have to give the method name, which type of request we have. Either we have get or post. So if you do dot get, we will have the get request. Now you have to give the complete URL, the URL of the request what you are executing. I am giving it till actions. Now we have to put the headers. So there are two ways of putting the headers. Okay, so you can either push the headers over the request manually one by one, or you can store multiple headers in a variable, and then you can refer the header variable name. Basically it will be called when I will call the header object. So I'll show you both over here. First check manually one by one. So we have a function of dot header. So I need to give the header name over here. Let us suppose I have given it accept. Just a minute. Now, so this is for manual. We are uh, inserting the header one by one. Let us suppose I want to refer a variable that is already created and multiple headers are being stored over there. What we can do, we'll use dot headers over there. So because there are multiple headers, and we will just type the variable name. What is the variable name? A header underscore zero. And where header underscore zero is defined? If we can go to the top, click on that, you can see that at the top we have declared a variable for the header, and we have stored mapped the multiple headers over there. So once what will happen, basically once this request will get executed, these variables, these headers will be sent along with the request, along with this header variable where we have the multiple requests binded. Now how to do checkpoint? Now for the checkpoint, we have different criteria. Okay, basically you can give the checkpoint on a one particular status code. You can give the checkpoint on multiple status code. Let us suppose one of the requests is redirecting 302 and then it is giving 200. So for that we have the functions for inserting the implementing the multiple checkpoints over the status code. Now we have text check function, basically to check whether a particular text is found in the response or not. So let us see how checkpoint works. We'll see it one by one. Sorry, Jaya, you are asking something?
I just asked, like, where do you copy the initial
Uh,
package,
oh, which one? The package name?
the package name? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is not copied actually. This is yet created. Okay. So let us suppose if I am creating. Okay, this is yet to be showed, Jaya, from
Okay.
scratch, like how we are from scratch. I am just trying to make you understand what are the Gatling functions. For doing
Okay.
it is from scratch, we'll do it again.
Sure.
It's existing script, because if I'll create it now new, you will get confused.
Oh,
So let us understand first the basic building of the scripts, like how parameterization, correlations, and checkpoints work. Then we will do it from scratch. Another. Then we'll see it again. Everything. Okay. So let us see this implementation of checkpoint one by one. So let us suppose I have to. So we use the check functions for. So I am using the for single one. So it will I can give here one. So dot check status dot is for implementing a single checkpoint on the status code. Now let us suppose I have to implement it for multiple. Then we'll use the chalk dot check status in. So difference of multiple and single checkpoint on status code is dot is and dot in. Now how to pass the different status code? Let us suppose I am getting 302 and 200. Then we'll give 302 first, and then we'll give a comma, and then we'll go 200. So in that way the multiple checkpoints will be implemented. Now if I need to pass the text check over here, so for text check we have something called dot check. Substring is there, and in substring you can give the string value that you feel should be present in the response of that request. I am putting random just for understanding. There is one error. Yeah, so any questions still now regarding the checkpoint and how the we are generating the request? What basically we will look into it once we'll create it from scratch. But do you have any questions, like what does this components means, like dot http dot get headers and dot check status, how the request built? So now understanding, after understanding these things, are you able to get the understanding like what this request means? Please go ahead and let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, if you are saying something, I'm not, you are not audible basically, Jaya. Might be the network issue. You can come again, or you can paste your query over the chat. I'll be able to take that.
I don't think it's me, it's somebody else.
Okay. So any questions till now? Uh, because it's very important to understand architecture and structure of the script, because going forward we'll do it from the scratch. So these things will be the self-explanatory for you. Okay, so this is what I showed you for the get request. Okay, so let us suppose you got something, the post request to execute. So let me draft one post request for you. I'm hitting the Flipkart. I'm trying to capture one request over the Flipkart, and I'll show you how we are constructing a post request basically. Might be I have to search something. Yeah. Let us suppose this is the post request for the Flipkart. Here is the URL. Okay, and I want to build this request. I'm giving the request name first. Request name equal to Flipkart underscore search. I have given it. Now let us look into the attribute of the request. So it's a type of post, right? So it will have some payload. So we will implement the post request over here. Dot post. Now I have to give the URL. So we have the URL here. I have copied the URL. I pasted it over. Now, as we all know that the post request will have some payload. So we'll go to the payload section. I'll do it view source. Okay, it's too big. No worries. Now, how to insert the body? Once the post, the type of request has been defined, and URL has been defined, I'll go there. I'll do dot body. Then the body type is equal to string. So we'll give the string body, and in the double quotes we'll paste our request over there. Now let us check for the headers. We have any particular header, request header. Okay, let us suppose I have to use these headers. let us show how to insert the headers one by one. I am showing it again so that you remember this header basically. Now the header key we have to give first, then put a comma, and then we have to define the value of the header. Now if we have the another header, the header value. Now headers is defined. Let us check what we are getting in the response. So it doesn't have any response. So we'll put the checkpoint on the basis of its response headers. So we got 200 okay over there. So I'll use dot check function. Now we got 200 over there. So we'll put the 200. This is how we are building the get request versus the post request over here. Okay. So any questions till now regarding what we have discussed? Please tell me if you have any questions or everything is understandable for you.
One question I have,
Yeah,
like
please go ahead.
at the top we declare some headers, correct? So suppose we have those headers for a particular request plus some extra headers. So how we can add them under a request?
Okay, so multiple ways we have. Okay, I'll tell you the three ways for that. Let us suppose you have some extra headers. Let us suppose the extra headers is content type application slash JSON. Okay, so you can do one thing. You can add one request over here, content type. Now this will be done. If or you can do one thing. Okay, you can declare another parameter header one.
Okay.
I'll copy this from here. Okay, now it's created. This is the second one way. Now let us suppose you want to give here the custom header. So what I'll do, dot headers, then we have the it will give you id will give you the option which header you want to pass, header 0 or header 1. So we have declared a header 1. So if I will pass and I'll click on this, it will show that which header is getting passed or part of it. Now the another way is to manually inject it, like header and then content type. Okay, I'll copy it. Content type, then will comma separated for the key and the value, and application slicing, that is value. Okay, so you can use three ways to inject your headers over the request.
Okay, got it.
Got it? Any other questions, please? For the scenario part and other parameterization basically will be injected into the scenario. So we'll be looking into it tomorrow. Correlation will we can check it today. But before that, any questions till now? Please go ahead.
Suppose for a particular transaction, we have uh, 10 number of requests for a particular transaction, so we need to manually type them in this editor.
There are two ways. Either you can manually type or copy paste because you have the draft of the one request. Okay. Or another way is to refer the recording, the recorder you have done. Okay. So what happens when we do the recording, we have that file, right? Just
Okay,
copy the paste the request from there when you are working on IntelliJ.
okay, got it.
Any other questions? Okay, so how do we do correlation? I'll take one of the requests. I'll show you the draft where response is coming. Okay, let us suppose I have this request. I'll go to regex 101 just to validate the regular expression. Now let us suppose I want to grab the status code from the response. So again for the correlation, we have the function of check only through regular expression, where we use the regular expression to grab the value and save in a variable. So the function something looks like dot check regex. Now you have to give your regular expression pattern over here. So I will be writing the regular expression over here. Let us suppose I have to grab the status code equal to 200. So you can see here we have match of status code 200. I'll copy this regular expression and I'll paste it over the pattern. Okay, now I have to save it. Now we have multiple options of finding the occurrence. Let us suppose the status code is getting many times. Okay, multiple times. Now we have options to find the occurrence. Let us suppose I want to grab the fourth value. Now I have the options for saving the all the values, all the occurrences of that particular correlations or value, or I want to pick the random occurrence, anyone like 1, 2, 3 or fifth, anything, any one of them. So we have the options of dot find over here. So dot find all, dot find random. So let us suppose I want to get the fifth value. So I'll give dot find fifth occurrence equal to fifth. Now I have to give save it over the variable. So we have dot save as functions. So dot save as will save it in the key. Key is the variable name. It's getting some error. Dot is missing. Yeah, fine. So one error is there. I look into it later. Basically, it's due to the script. Something we're missing. But for the correlation wise, what will happen when you will execute this request? It will check for the response body. It will run this regular expression and save the value grabbed over the key, that is variable name. Okay, so these are basic building blocks of the actions. What are the functions and parameters we use in actions? Now, going later in the sessions, by tomorrow session, we'll talk about the scenario and simulation. What are the things, what are the functions we use the scenario and simulation. Once you understand the functions being used in the Gatling, once you are aware of that, then we will start scripting it through the scratch one by one, so that when I script it in front of you, you will not get confused and there will be no ambiguity in the name of the functions and the request building. So any questions for today's session?
Does it support only regex or does it support like JSON?
JSON also, I'll show you the JSON. For JSON, if you want to look it over now, I'll show you. We have the JSON path. Now I have to give, let us suppose dot name is the value, name is the, let us suppose we have the response where name is something, JSON name is something like Gatling. So Name is the key, so I'll do dollar dot name dot find occurrence g1. I'll save as what the key. This is how JSON request works. You are aware, right? JSONs we have correlations something like dollar dot the attribute name.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, this is how the JSON correlation works. Thanks for asking this question. Yeah, yeah. Any more questions for today? Then we can wind up.
Maven is something like Jenkins or it's different?
Maven is basically the build tool for, okay, so when you are building the project, okay, you need different parameters. Gatling and Scala cannot alone run the test, okay, so your project needs to be built. You need a POM for a project, basically, to annotate your project, to create its objects and classes. You need POM to basically build. That's why we are using the build tool as Maven over here.
Okay,
Yeah, you can use another other build tools also, that is Gradle is also there in option. You can use any one of them.
okay, got it.
Yeah, so any more questions are we expecting? Okay, if nothing else, we can wind up for today and then we'll meet tomorrow same time. Thanks everyone.